So far, so good. I'm very happy with the way that the high-level forum went. It was a very, very highly animated event where you had very rich, discussion and debate about the issue of youth employment and skills that are needed to address the problem. And today, as you know, we continued with the statutory meeting of our Board of Governors, which went very, very well. I'm very happy. We were able to deal with everything we had on the agenda, especially such important thing as the election of the new leadership of our Board of Governors. So I'm really happy with the outcome. And also the adoption of recommendations of a Resource Mobilization Committee of the Board of Governors, which I'm very hopeful that it will help us to mobilize large amount of resources to really begin to support the efforts that our countries are making in building their capacity.
Revenue Resource Committee, of which Ghana is a member. It is a committee within the foundation tasked to find innovative ways of how to make the foundation more sustainable. Because over time, the resource of the foundation is dwindling, and we need to look within the member countries to see how we can leverage on other areas that hitherto has not been fully explored. And then after that meeting, where we made some useful contribution, and the report was wholly accepted and adopted at the plenary. After that, we went to the Board of Governors meeting. And the good news, as you rightly said, is that our governor, who is the Honorable Minister for Finance, Honorable Ken Oforiatta, the good job that he's doing in Ghana is being recognized by his peers.
We had a very successful year, 2017-2018. And I alluded to two major indicators. One, the successful closure of the World Bank project. As you know, that the World Bank has been a major financier of the ACBF. And the project that we closed last year was also reviewed by the World Bank itself. And the World Bank came to the same conclusion, that the project was successfully implemented. And if you look at the impact of that project, it supported quite a number of diversified and the key areas. One is regional integration. A number of institutions supported, including, just as an example, COMESA, IGAD, West Africa, ECOWAS, and MEFMIN. MEFMIN is an institution that deals with finance, which is based in Harare.
For us in capacity building, we face the same difficulties, that the needs are quite huge. If you look at certain countries, whether it's in terms of the educational levels, you look at their bureaucracy and their public service, you realize that the capacity is not there, human capacity, I mean. You look at the ability to, promote economic growth, to run businesses, to engage in private sector manufacturing and industrialization. It's not there. And also you look at the institutions themselves, they tend to be weak. If you take the public institutions, take for example the parliament and executive, you see that in many countries, the parliament is almost like a sub of the executive, when it's supposed to be an independent oversight body, making sure that it puts on legislations that will, and ensures that the policies are implemented. So the weakness is in institutions, is in human capacity, and so it is huge. So it's a huge undertaking for us to try to solve these problems. And the problems exist at the continental level, at the country level, at the subnational level, in fact, many countries are embarking on devolution. And when they start empowering these subnational governments, whether they are local governments or they are provinces, you go there and you find that the capacity to deliver services for the people is not there. So that, number one thing is the magnitude of the problem. Number two thing is the resources that are available, which is not enough to really begin to make a dent in the problem. So we have to fight to mobilize resources necessary, because the needs, the requests from countries are quite significant and overwhelming.
Indeed, under the 5-year strategic plan of the African Capacity Building Foundation, that is 2017 to 2021, Ghana pledged 2 million over a 5-year period, which works up to $400,000 per year. In 2017, we fully paid our subscription. 2018, we have paid, but let me tell you that it has not yet hit their accounts. Before we left Accra, it has left controller for Bank of Ghana to wire it to hit their accounts. But then, when we get home, we can double check, but we have fully paid 2017, 2018. Indeed, the chairman, in his closing remarks, mentioned a few countries that are in good standing. He mentioned Nigeria, he mentioned Ghana, and one other country as members who are in Ivory Coast, as members who are in good standing. So this goes to buttress the fact that as a country we appreciate the foundation's role in building capacity across the continent.
There was also support directly to governments, which has been supporting governments. Over 45 governments that have been supported, particularly in policy formulation. And one of the key areas which I highlighted when at the opening session is macroeconomic policy. If you look at African governments, especially at the turn of this century, you notice that one of the key mitigators of what would have been a major shock is because of swift response by government to stabilize the macroeconomic environment. If you look at the key indicators, the inflation, the currency, and exchange rates, these have been fairly stable, except for a couple of countries. So that is one area. And of course, supporting a number of institutions of learning that provide training, and particularly in the area of science and technology. That's one area. The other area, which concerns executive board, is really the key performance indicators, the KPIs. ACBF has consistently achieved a disbursement rate and efficiency rate of over 80%. If you look at administrative costs versus the disbursement in terms of the resources that we secured from development partners, those resources indicating efficiency and effectiveness. So from that point of view, and of course the third area is our audit report, which of course is a major tool for measuring the institutions, particularly fiduciary management, also indicated that the performance was good. But notwithstanding that, we of course face some major headwinds. One of them, of course, there is stress in terms of inflows of resources, and that is because of pressure, fiscal pressure at the national level, due to competing needs, and which is also a reflection of how governments are struggling to continue to develop their capacity. The pressure now is to meet the short-term needs, and when you talk of capacity, that falls more in the long-term needs. And because of that, you have this mismatch of short-term, long-term. And that, of course, is also reflected with us. But I must say that in terms of government support, which is also another indicator, governments have also stepped up their contribution to ACBF.